Alright, so should be good to go now. Alrighty, so hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, back here again tonight. It's been a busy week for me, even though you haven't really seen much of me because we're in the process of moving, which is great fun. Lots and lots of fun. Can you tell from my tone of voice how much fun it is? Yeah, so it's about that fun. Anyway, still got a few PC builds coming through because I mean I've still got to do something. I've still got to earn some money while I do all this. But yes, that's all going to be happening very, very shortly. So who knows? I'm not even 100% sure where I'm going to be in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, watch this space. So we got Richard and George here. Hey guys, how you going? Good to have you with us as always. But we got a good one on tonight. So a couple of new things that we haven't featured before. Starting with our CPU, we've got the Ryzen 9 7900X 12 core 24 thread CPU. We've got the new strimmer for the 12 plus 4 pin power cable. So this doesn't need the adapter or anything like that. It's not the 888 pin one. It's the one that plugs in to the 12 plus 4 pin connector on our 40 series card. So we've got a 4080 there. We've also got the new Unifan AL120 V2 fans to check out as well. So pretty good little build here tonight. So this is for Taylor. I can't remember whether he's local or whether this is being shipped off, but either way, let's get stuck right into it. So as I said, we've got the Ryzen 9 7900 12 core 24 thread CPU. We've got the Gigabyte B650 Gaming XAX, spit it out, motherboard. We've got a 32 gigabyte kit of 7200 megahertz CL36 RAM, I think it is. We've got a Gen 4 NVMe SSD 1 terabyte, and we got a Gen 3 2 terabyte NVMe SSD. So decent amount of storage there. Nice fast RAM. We've got the Thermaltake GF3 1000 watt power supply there. So this has got a 12 plus 4 pin cable direct from the power supply. We've got another set of streamers there. We've got a Deepcool LS720 cooler for this. And we've got a Lian Li Dynamic 11 for our case. So, like I said, we're going to have pretty much all Lian Li RGB for this one. So we've got the fans, the streamers. The only thing that won't be Lian Li will be the motherboard. I think there's a little bit of RGB on our fans here, and there's a little bit of RGB on the cooler block, but we'll have basically all of our fans and the streamers being controlled with the Lian Li software, and then the rest of it will be controlled but with the Gigabyte software on the motherboard there. So let's get stuck right into it. We'll have a look at this motherboard. We'll put this big chonky 4080 box down here to the side. And let's have a look at this motherboard and see what you actually get. Get a little warning tag there. Ooh. I've been warned. It's not for you. I don't even know. I didn't even bother reading what it said. This product contains a battery. Don't put your tongue on the battery. So obviously we got our accessories here. We have Wi-Fi antenna, some SATA cables, some M2 screws. But the main thing that we care about is the motherboard. So while there can be a little bit between different motherboards, fundamentally what you're looking for is the features that the board has. Okay? So if you're a pretty simple kind of user, you just want to buy a good gaming PC, just make sure you get a motherboard that's reasonable and that has the features that you want. Okay? So there's generally speaking, spending extra money on the motherboard is a really bad way of spending extra money to get more performance out of your gaming PC. Okay, so there's a reason why when you look at a lot of pre-built PCs that are going, like pre-built gaming PCs, you'll see a lot of the cheaper motherboards used with them. That's not by accident, it's because a motherboard is, in general, a really poor thing to spend extra money on to get extra gaming performance, for example. What you do get from getting a better motherboard is you get more features, which allows you to do more. So what I advise people to do with a motherboard is to shop by features, and if you don't want to shop by features, just shop by budget. Get what you can afford. Now there is some exceptions there with the motherboard. Now you want to get a board that has good heat sinks here on the MOSFET VRM co-processors. That's all this stuff around the CPU there. So if you put a more powerful CPU on a motherboard, it's going to put more stress on all these components around the side there. So you don't want to put a high-powered CPU like the 7900X that we have here. We don't want to put that on like a bare basics motherboard that doesn't have any heat sinks on all that stuff around the CPU. Because all that's going to happen is that's going to overheat and then the system's going to shut off and you're going to be like, why is my computer turning off? And it will be the fact that you didn't spend enough on your motherboard. However, this motherboard here is a good mid-range board. It has good features, as I'm going to point out. So starting at the top here, we've got 12 plus 8 pin, 4 plus 8 pin, total of 12 pins of CPU power up the top there. Nice heat sinks there on our MOSFET VRM co-processors. Obviously our Ryzen AM5 socket there for the CPU. So we've got 1, 2, 3 fan headers plus 1, 2, 3 RGB headers up the top there. We've got our 24 pin RTX power, so that's the main power for the motherboard. We've got dual channel memory, 4 slots, 2 channels. We've got fan header number 4 here. We have a reset switch button on the board, so that's handy if you wanted to use this board as a test bench or something like that, I guess. We've got our USB-C header. We've got 4 SATA ports there. We've got a horizontally orientated USB 3 at the bottom there. We've got our front panel connectors, another fan header, so that's a total of 5 so far. We've got 2 USB 2s. We've got a COM port header, and that looks like, what do we got there? We've got a SPI TPM and an ESPI DB. There's like a couple of different security module headers there at the bottom. If anyone's curious as to what both of them is, one of them's a TPM header. The other one, it looks very, very similar. I wonder if it's just a different pin configuration for another one. I don't know it off the top of my head, but if you're interested, send me a message and I'll find out for you. Got another couple of RGB headers at the bottom there, and that was it for fan headers. So the 5 fan headers only. So that would probably be the biggest downside for some people with this board, is you probably need a fan controller if you've got a lot of fans. We've got 1, 2, 3 M2 slots. So we've got room for 3 M2 SSDs. We're going to be using 2 of them in this build. And then we've got our PCIe X16 slot. And then we've got, alright, here's one thing to be aware of on this board. These slots down the bottom, normally you'll see an X4 slot for these, so they're connected like a quarter of the way along. But I don't know if you can see.
Kind of. Oh, I can make it out.
They're only connected, it's only connected where my thumb is. So these are both X1 slots, but they're X16 length. They're normally X4 length, so where my finger is there, but they're actually X1.
There's like markers where you pointed out the other one, but
yeah, on the bottom of the board there, you can see where the connections are actually soldered into the socket there, if you look really, really, really
pull
close.
it down, you can't see anything. Pull it down.
Yeah, you can see it soldered in just at the start there. The rest of the socket's empty. So just be aware with this motherboard. For our build here, we're not using any of these expansion slots. We've just got our 4080 to go in here, and then we're using M2 storage. So we're not even using them. And around the back here, we have built-in Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1, and a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 USB ports, including 1 Type-C, 2.5 gigabit LAN there as well, and just standard audio. We've also got a PS2 port there if you've got an old school keyboard and mouse, or a really, really high-end keyboard. It's usually the only time you see them. Alrighty. And so that is the Gigabyte B650 Gaming X motherboard there. So let's get stuck into kitting it out.
Without standing on the cat.
Yeah, but he's being annoying tonight. Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Hey Nicholas, how you going? Good to have you with us as always. Yeah, this will be nice. The other one that you might want to look at is also the Lian Infinity fans. They're pretty cool as well. But these new AL V2s, I think they look sharp. I really do. I really do. And they were, yeah. They're gonna look good for this. Yeah. Hey man, how you going? Good to have you with us. Alrighty, so we got our 7200 megahertz RAM here, so it's pretty good. When DDR5 first came on the market, it was a little bit with the sort of speeds and latencies that we were getting. But now we're starting to see higher speeds and better latencies come out. And so this is looking better. And also with we've got Crucial NVMe SSDs, and these have a handy little feature where they use the RAM as like a RAM cache, right? So basically it uses the speed of the RAM to make transfers faster between the drives. So faster RAM will benefit our NVMe SSD speeds. So I'll show everyone that yeah, when we set everything up and get everything installed. Now other one here is a Crucial P3, 2 terabyte. And so good thing is NVMe SSD storage has actually come down in price quite a lot recently, to the point where, you know, it might make sense for you to get yourself an NVMe SSD as an upgrade. You know, you might have a PC and you might be pretty happy with your graphics card and everything else, but you'd probably benefit from a bit of a faster storage device, especially if you've got an aging hard drive that you've got a lot of your games stored on. Maybe now is the time to go and get that NVMe SSD upgrade, either for Windows or for your gaming drive. So the main thing you benefit from is like the game load speeds. Yeah. You want that? Yeah, I can imagine our lounge room looking like this at some stage.
Yes, it will.
We'll have very different little corners of the lounge room. Okay. No optical out on this one. So that's a little bit of a pain. One thing to consider there, if you have a sound bar that you use optical for, which I know a lot of people do. Alrighty, so make sure you remove the sticky on the thermal pads before you put this down. So obviously if you're not using both of them, leave the one that you're not using, just leave that sticky in place. Just the one that you're using, remove the sticky. Okay, so now we're left with our CPU. So I don't know, this still feels kind of wrong to me, you know? You might be going, what do you mean? And what I mean is, it feels wrong to be putting a Ryzen CPU in a land grid array or LGA style socket. It still feels weird. Like, I know I've done Threadrippers, and Threadrippers have always been an LGA style socket, but it's just this new AM5 socket where AMD has moved over to the LGA style socket. So it's still a little bit weird for me. Alrighty. So cooler time. What's up? Okay. So these new Deepcool LS series coolers are actually really, really good quality. They've got a 5-year warranty. And so if you were looking for a good quality cooler, roughly $100 cheaper than a Corsair or a Lian Li or a ROG equivalent, this is your boy right here. And so the main thing you do when you're looking at AIO coolers is you're looking at the warranty duration as the main guide to quality. So you'll notice that there are cheap ones, but you'll notice they have a 12-month warranty. And so that's the bare minimum warranty that they have to offer in order to sell that product legally in Australia. They have to have that warranty. That's just the price of admission in the Australian marketplace. You've got to comply with Australian fair trading laws, right? And part of that is there is what's called the reasonable durability clause. So when you read through it, it's just the most mind-numbing, like, legal documents, like reading the terms and conditions of something. It's like real dry stuff, right? But if you go through just sort of point by point simply, you'll see that there is basically, if a product is worth more than, like, you know, if it's more than, like, you know, a toothpick or something disposable, you've got to have like, it's got to be reasonably durable. If not, the customer's entitled to a refund and replacement of that product. So that 12-month warranty, they have to do that. So never be impressed by that. Yeah. Yeah, you could easily add a sound card, because although we've only got X1 slots at the bottom, all sound cards these days are X1. So if you really needed to add one, and with sound card, you could probably even just look at getting a second-hand one. Because, yeah, I mean, realistically, they're not a very common thing. Like, I remember when it was like, you know, really, really important to have a sound card. In fact, a sound card was the first PC upgrade I ever did on a PC when I was a kid. It's one of the first things I did, was because the PC that I got, my first actual PC when I was like 10, it was like just like a cheap sort of entry level PC that my parents bought me, and yeah, it didn't have sound card. So I got one off eBay, you know, because I was like a 10-year-old kid in like 1998. So I went on eBay and I got myself a sound card, and I installed the sound card. Came with a CD-ROM. Yeah. SATA, it's okay. It's okay. Like for Windows boot, SATA's not too bad. Like it's a big step up. It's a big step up from hard drive, right? Like that's the big performance leap, going from hard drive to any SSD. Less of a return going from a SATA SSD to an NVMe SSD, but because my point right now is, because the pricing's come right down on NVMe SSDs. There's no, like, you used to be able to say, okay, maybe it makes more sense for me to get the SATA and save some money, but now it doesn't save you any money. They're the same price. So if you want to spend a little bit more, you can get yourself a higher performance one, like a Gen 4 NVMe SSD. But is your computer compatible with that? Your computer might only support Gen 3, then it will be a very big waste of money for you to bother with a Gen 4, because yeah, you're not going to get the speed. So you'll be paying all that extra for nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So these come along every so often. It's not as common as like someone wanting a mid-range kind of PC. Yeah, so this one here was around the $5,000 mark, if I remember correctly. I'll put that around the wrong way. Yeah, this is about $5,000. So the main thing is the all Lian Li fans there. That's like $450 just worth of the fans. The 4080, so that's like a $1,700 graphics card right there. And then we got like the $200 case. The streamers are about $110 each. The power supply was about $300. So yeah, it all starts to add up. But the thing is, you could get this exact same build, and we could use a much cheaper CPU. We could use and it could still look exactly the same. We could use the same cooler, the same fans. We could use a slightly cheaper graphics card, like we could go with a 4070 Ti. That would save about $500 straight up there. So there's always options. I don't have all my PCs get built to order. So whether you get like a cheap one or a high-end one, I build them to order. So if you want to make any changes to any configuration, you can. So if it's a case of like, you've seen something you like, but then you wanted to add this and add that, and you didn't want to spend any extra money on the 8 terabyte hard drive or something like that, then we just don't have to add it in. So there's no set configurations or anything like that. So just let me know what you want, and we can go from there. Hey Kyle, how you going? Good to have you with us as always. Oh, so you're noticing? You sure it's definitely coil wine? Like, have you gone through the? Yeah, because there can be there's a few other things that can make a similar sound to coil wine. So I just want to make sure that you check all that. In general, coil wine won't really make a difference. If the coil wine is coming from something on the PSU, that would normally be capacitor squeal, and not coil wine. They sound very, very similar. So I don't know. Do a bit of research into the two, and just confirm what you've got. But in general, coil wine's something that you find on power supplies, because there's a coil, because it's converting AC power to DC, and basically when electricity is running through the coil, there can be slight vibration, and they normally put some hot glue on it in the production process, but sometimes the glue doesn't sit in quite the right position, and then there's just a slight amount of vibration from it, and you can get that, and that's what coil wine is as such. But then you can also get capacitor squeal, so you can get, sometimes it can be an indication of a dying capacitor, like they start to make that noise right before they die, or sometimes it can just be a manufacturing defect with that particular capacitor, and it just makes a little bit of noise when you're running a bit of power through it. You'll notice that it's normally motherboards that have the capacitor sort of the capacitor squeal. So yeah, like I said, have a look into that, because there's definitely a couple of different causes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
That if I'm playing a game like GTA, it only uses 80, 90 watts, which keeps the card quiet as an else. Some Hogwarts, the card will use 190 watt, which makes loud coil one.
And it's definitely, you're definitely sure it's coming from the card and not the power supply, and not the motherboard. Because that's the hard thing. Sometimes it can even fool me. Sometimes I'll go and have a listen, and then it'll be like, oh, I think it's the motherboard, and then I'll go back and forward, and then I'll realise, no, actually it was the yeah. What's wrong?
Car wrecking off in the distance.
Oh, we've had someone's like gotten out of jail or something. What? I'm serious. Someone's gotten out of. All of a sudden, there's a car that's going around. It sounds like a hotted up freaking like a 5.7 liter Commodore V8 with, you know, big exhaust and shit. You can hear it like backfiring and all that all over the place.
Fucking annoying.
And yeah, Christine's not the biggest fan of it.
No! This area used to be quiet. Now there's some dickhead fucking driving.
The only thing I can say is either someone's just gotten their license back or someone's gotten out of jail. Because all of a sudden it was quiet as there's never any of this before, and then all of a sudden we're hearing this car going around. Yeah, no. Like this is the same. This is definitely the same car, though. This is definitely the same car. So I don't mind it. I'm a bit of an auto enthusiast.
I am too, but not every fucking night do I want to listen to a fucking car revving off in the distance.
Welcome to Logan. We're from Ipswich. You should be used to it from Ipswich with the lappers. If you're not from Queensland and you don't know what I'm talking about, in Ipswich is kind of like the unofficial motorsports city of Queensland.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because you got the Willowbank Raceway, right? And so basically you got like car clubs and stuff there, and so they love to do laps at the Ipswich CBD on Thursday nights.
I don't know how much of that they do anymore though, because they've put in a heap of lights and stuff, traffic lights through there now.
Yeah, I know. They've been against the auto enthusiasts for a while. Okay, well, we've got our radiator all prepped up here. So we've got the fans in the exhaust position. So the radiator will be mounted to the top of the case. We'll be exhausting heat out the top. And, yeah. Yep. It's probably going to be fine if it's under warranty and you've got your receipt and all that, and you got it from like a reputable retailer or business, you should be able to get a warranty claim done on it. Now they're usually pretty good, but I mean I don't want to speak for other companies and stuff, because obviously it's at their discretion, because they could go like, oh no, it's fine, it works. What are you complaining about? It's just a little bit of noise. Put your headphones on, sort of thing, and be dicks about it. Or they could actually go, yeah, no, this is a known batch issue with this, you know, blah 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 blah. We'll fix that for you. We'll either replace it for you for free, or we'll provide a replacement for you. So yeah, I wouldn't live with it if it annoys you. If personally I noticed it and it was pissing me off, I wouldn't be able to live with it. If I couldn't get a refund, I'd go and sell it, like on the used market. I'd just find some kid who's going to be happy as regardless, and sell it to him, and you know, he'll probably have his headset on the whole time and won't even ever notice that there's anything wrong with it. You just sell it to a customer like that. But yeah, like I said, if it's depending on the brand and stuff, like MSI are generally okay, Gigabyte are generally okay, Asus are generally okay. When you go to like the other brands, that's when you're more than likely going to run into resistance there. Huh? Oh, yeah. The freaking Deepora logo. That's a YouTube channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like German. They're like Germans, or something. Alrighty. So these fans are definitely easy for the novice user or first time builder to install. They just sort of slide together. Then you've just got one cable to connect for each group, so it makes your life a little bit easier. But it's certainly not. They're certainly not like essential or anything like that. And so yeah, obviously with these fans here, we're gonna have these ones sort of upside down as such. And the reason why is because we want them on the intake position. So we're gonna have cool air coming in through the bottom of the case. And then we'll have the other fans in the exhaust position. These three on the wall there, they're not really there from a functional perspective. This would work just fine without the three on the wall there. The three on the wall are sort of just there for show. Yeah. Hey Darren, how you going? Good to have you with us. Yeah, they're doing good. They're doing good. Puppy dog at your side. So she had a bath because she can't be trusted inside at night unsupervised. So she has to go out with the big dogs at night. But I think that's good for her to socialise and interact with the big dogs as well. Like I think she learns things from that. Alrighty. So yeah, pretty simple to put these together. Like I said, all you need to do is just connect the one cable to one side of these fans, and you could even connect them all through the one line if you wanted to. However, I recommend doing groups of 3 just for best results. Need a heap of fan bolts for this, but luckily they give you all of them. Okay. And so this is definitely the fun part here, where we gotta screw in all of the fans. Fluffy Meow. Now there's nowhere for you to sit, mate. This is not a PC that's ready to go, okay? You can go around the back, it doesn't make it any different. There is a hole in the middle of it and you can't get up there, okay?
Fluffy Meow.
Fluffy Meow. Physics is a pain, isn't it? It's so hard to work out.
You just sigh.
You thought maybe if he came around the back he'd find a place to sit. They don't understand physics, man. Nearly there. I mean, if you're really lazy, you could probably get away with just 4 bolts for each. Just because the fans are sort of connected together. But we'll still do all 12 bolts.
But it's the Loch Ness.
Oh God. Okay. Same deal here. If you're really lazy, you could get away with just 4 bolts, but they have 12 bolt holes, so we'll do all 12. Alright, so we're nearly done. 3 more bolts. 2. And 1. Okay. Okay. Alright, so we get 3 controllers, but we only need the 1 controller. Okay, and a little bit of magnetic sticky. Got the big sticky and the little sticky. Alright, so it's a different controller for the strimmers. So I'm gonna quickly install the controller for the strimmers now. puppy dog, hey? It's just decided to rest her head on my feet. Because, you know, feet smell awesome if you're a dog. You didn't have to say that. Okay, so we've got our two Lian Li controllers there for our streamers and our fans, and that's going to go on the back of this panel here, which just goes in like that. So nice and simple. And then the other two controllers, we're actually not gonna need them. And all of these extra cables that you have to pay for also don't need. Oh, bloody hell, dog. I nearly stood on the dog. I forgot you were there, little puppy dog.
She's like, what the fuck?
I'm sorry.
Don't look at me. I didn't do it. Well, she's moving away now.
Oh, she's like, holy shit, I hope that doesn't happen again. Oh, fuck, I feel bad. I nearly squashed the dog.
Don't do that.
We'll definitely have to get a return on the dog if it gets squashed. Hello, I broke my dog. Can I get a return, please?
I don't think they do returns on squish dogs.
No returns on squished dogs. Are you serious?
No.
What kind of world do we live in now?
You did it, so it's not a fault of the dog.
It's not a fault of the dog. Hello, I broke my dog. Can I get a return, please? Somewhere that's happened, right?
I don't know.
Okay. So pretty easy from this stage. Okay. And so just like before, we've got our radiator. Now you could add 3 more fans to the radiator on the other side if you wanted it to be extra beefy. I'm not going to go ahead and recommend that to people because it's not a good way of like spending your money. But if you want it if you just want it for the flex and to look extra tank, we can install 2 lots of fans on either side of the radiator. It might make half a degree or so difference in temperature or something like that. So it's not going to sort of make or break your build, and it will probably end up costing you like $150 more. I don't want to be that guy recommending that to people for them thinking that it's like going to make a considerable amount of difference. I'd be somewhat unethical doing that. But I totally get it if you just want like the flex of it, just the look of having, you know, having this case here, but instead of having the 9 fans, having the 12 with doubled up on the radiator. I mean, I get it. I'm a car person. I get it. Don't have to explain what being an enthusiast is like. Alright. And so yeah, you definitely don't need all 12 bolts in a radiator either. You can get away with 4 to 8. Sometimes where you have it mounted in the case, some of the screw holes might be covered. Don't worry about that, it's completely fine. You've got 12 screw holes here only because so you can mount 3 fans with 4 bolts each. Not because you really need those 12 bolts to hold the radiator in place or something. Okay. And she's done. Okay. Here we go. Okay, alrighty, so we've got everything all hooked in up the top there. We've got our pump connected to the CPU fan header there. We haven't got all the bolts in the motherboard yet. I just wanted to make sure all of our cables were in place nicely. And yes, it's all looking good out the back there. So let's have a look at our power supply. So Thermaltake GF3s come with a 10-year warranty. So this is as good a warranty as what you'd get on a high-end fridge or washing machine or an electronic device like that. And once again, when it comes to choosing a power supply, the warranty duration is sort of the main thing that the average consumer wants to pay attention to. Now, there's another thing with power supplies called the 80+ rating. Now, that is an efficiency rating, not a guide to quality. Now, if you get the ones that are the top efficiency rating, they are also really good quality. You can't really make one that's ultra efficiency and then it be a piece of shit in terms of quality. So if you pay for really top end, like platinum or titanium efficiency, you're probably going to get a pretty good quality power supply in terms of how long it's going to last and all that. But when it comes to lower 80+ ratings, like bronze, gold, for example, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good quality unit. It could be a real piece of shit. Okay, so we've got a 600 watt 12 plus 4 pin cable, and it's an omnidirectional cable, so it doesn't matter which way you plug it into the power supply. It'll work either way and plug in both ways. Now you can get smaller wattage RTX 3 power supplies. They might not output as much power on the 12 plus 4 pin cable. So there's also a 400 watt variant. Just to be super aware of that when you're buying one. So the next one, this is our motherboard. So we've got a 20 pin and a 10 pin into the power supply there, and then we've got a 20 plus 4 pin into the motherboard. Caramel Wallaby. Oh, I heard there was something happening. Caramel Wallaby, that's awesome. How good's that?
That is pretty good.
That is really cool. Caramel Wallaby. I used to work in the FMCG industry, which is fast moving consumer goods, which is basically a real fancy wanky business corporate way of saying groceries and food and alcohol and general merchandise and all the sort of shit that you'd find at Coles, Kmart, hardware stores, liquor stores, etc., etc. All of that shit. And basically I subscribe to a news service, right, that keeps me up to date with all of the bullshit little news announcements and this company's bought out this company and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, oh, I know those guys. Shit like that. And I saw that there was big news with Freddo Frog and from Mondelez. Big announcement coming.
Oh, Freddo Frog's not going anywhere.
No, but that's the Freddo Frog range. It's the it's the product line. So when they say they've got a Freddo Frog announcement, that's what they meant, is this caramel wallaby. That's the special announcement. And if you're like, what the fuck am I talking about? If you're overseas, we're talking about the company that owns Cadbury chocolate, and we're talking about a little chocolate bar aimed at kids in Australia. Alright, and I don't think I need any of the other cables in here. These are all excess cables that we won't require. So what we'll do is we'll stick them in the 3.5-inch drive trays, just so they have somewhere to go and, you know, they don't get lost. Because the thing is, power supplies, they have very specific cables. So it's not like every power supply cable has the exact same sort of cable. So you want to try to keep the one sort of power supply cable with that power supply that it's come from. You don't want to get them mixed up too much. Like, I ended up with a whole heap that I just couldn't confirm what they were, and I ended up just putting them all to e-waste because I didn't have the time to go and test the pin out of each of the connections, because the connection might fit but the output from the power supply pins might be different. So basically what that means is you'd go and turn on your computer and then all of a sudden the motherboard would catch fire or the graphics card would start to melt. Like, these things actually happen. Trust me. Trust me. You don't end up doing PCs like what I do without learning a few things the hard way. Fortunately for me, I haven't had any issues with any of my customers with things like that, but I wasn't really yeah, when I made all my mistakes, I was a young kid. So I was doing it for my friends and family in a sort of, you know, sort of side project capacity. And it's all these little things that you learn along the way that make a difference. Because if you're young and you just have you've built a couple of computers and you're like thinking of going into business, you know, you might be fine, you might be sweet, or you might make some really bad mistakes, like some really sort of mistakes that people just make because they just didn't have enough knowledge to start with, or something like that. And that's the problem with being young, because no matter what you do, you'll probably end up in situations like that. Okay. So really the only two cables that I wanted to get in place quickly is these ones here for our power supply. Now we need a 12-pin connection here. So one thing, if you want a bit of a pro tip here, is go and make the connection you need. In this case, we need an 8+4 to make a 12-pin CPU power connection, and put a cable tie around it at the base. Just so that holds together. And then when we feed the cable through up here, one and two, and now it just looks like one cable there at the top, even though it's actually the two cables. Let me just trim that cable tie. Very good. And so that's just looks like one cable at the top there. but it's actually the 2. We just pulled this secondary connector that we don't need for the CPU power down around the back. And I don't like to tie things down too much out the back here, just because it makes it really, really hard to work on it after the fact. So these two get a strimmer. This one connects to all of our controllers and bits and pieces. Yeah. Oh yeah, cable tie police. Oh, it's not cable tied. Oh, okay. Alright, well.
The cable tie Karens.
Cable tie Karens, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Cable tie Karens.
Huh?
Yo.
Oh yeah, there is. I thought the sound cut out for a second. Not again.
Not again. Now you haven't had too many problems with Windows 11.
I've only had it a few days.
Yeah, but normally the problems occur in the first few, like,
Yeah, I guess.
they normally occur straight up.
Yeah, kind of. Ooh. That'd be cool. See a herd of bison stampeding. We've got little baby bisons. They're so cute. Little baby moose.
Okay.
It's a big cat.
Oh yeah.
900 kilos, or 910 approximately.
9-10 kilos. Yeah, that's about right. They're about a ton.
Only touch one.
Do you know what's weird? There's like a whole generation of people growing up right now who have like never seen a cow. They've like they know what they are, but they've never seen them. They've never been up to one. They've never touched one. They've never felt a cow's tongue. They've got weird. Yeah, they.
Like, what the fuck?
It's like a cat's tongue, but worse.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, don't worry. Donating things.
You're donating what?
I was wondering if you could sell it. Okay.
Sell what? Oh. Oh, I don't have any idea, babe. Don't ask me about the legalities of that. I got no fucking idea.
Can't even donate anymore. He's not too old. Cut off is at the age of 32.
Haha. You're an elderly woman.
Oh, no, I'm not. Thank you very much.
You're a geriatric. Okay, so we've got our front panel connectors here. It's going to be a little bit awkward. Never done them before. But believe me, it used to be a lot worse than this. Used to have a whole field of freaking pins. And you have to short out particular ones to do particular things. Freaking look up the manual on how to do it all and all of that good stuff. Okay. So believe it or not, we're pretty much there. Okay. Might actually be easier for me to feed these through this way. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so first up we need our strimmer. So we've got two streamers going in. One for the motherboard and one for the graphics card. So our motherboard one can go up like that. That'll be fine. And then we've got this one. This is the new one. So oh yeah, so this has just got a, it's just the standard Lian 8-pin I know fucking around with this one. Cable length for this. Yes, yes we do. Alrighty. Alrighty, so we're nearly done. We've just got a couple of SATA power cables to plug in. No. What?
Oh, there's an alarm going off outside.
Ah. Yeah. So, PS2, why are they still included? It's actually a fairly interesting question. And if I could get these freaking cables not tangled up on themselves. So, PS2 cables, what's the deal? So the deal is they're not actually completely obsolete. There is a fundamental difference. This is what a lot of people don't know. There's a fundamental difference with how a USB keyboard and a PS2 keyboard is handled on a hardware level. And what I mean by that is basically a USB port is the best way I can explain this to you without getting right into how USB works and how PS2 works. Easiest way to explain it is a USB port is every like microsecond. I don't know what the actual speed of it is. You'd have to look up for each different sort of USB. But the USB port is essentially sending constant like signals out, going, right, I'm here for the current like state of your keyboard, your mouse. It's sending out repeated, really fast inputs, telling the system, yep, the cursor's moved here, blah 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 blah. That's how USB works. What happens with the PS2 is it sends an interrupt signal to the CPU where it basically stops the CPU from processing any more information until that character that is that you're pressing down on is processed. And that can make a big difference depending on what you want to do and stuff. And so you'll find that keyboard enthusiasts love the PS2 port, and that's pretty much why you'll still see it on a lot of motherboards. So yeah, it is a little bit different. I'm probably not explaining it as well as some other people might, but yeah, definitely look up the difference between PS2 and USB. That would be a good place to start, and you'll find a good quality video online that'll go through all of that. Okay, we are at the end of the build now. It is now time to plug in our RTX 4080 from this massive oversized box that we've got. Bloody hell. Oh, look at this. Got a little Gigabyte CD, but it's not actually a CD. It's just paperwork in this CD-shaped thing. So, I don't know, I'm imagining a warehouse full of like CD cutouts. What do we do with them? Okay. Bobo, look at this fucking thing. Check this out. Look at that. Okay, like my hands aren't small. I don't have small hands. As you've probably noticed if you've watched me try to do things inside a PC case sometimes. that is a chonky card, but it's not actually all card. 2/3 of it isn't actually the card. The card only goes from there to there. The rest of it's just cooler. Please don't, but look, all I can say is that you don't.
You left the sticky on the
Oh, yeah. All I can say is that you don't need as much graphics card as this. Like, the actual card itself is quite small.
Fluffy now. Oh no, one's for the inside.
That's the inside. I'll take it off and swap it around for him soon. So we just got 2 slots at the back. And so another question I get a lot is, with the graphics card, is graphics card sag something I need to be concerned about? And the answer is probably not. People freak out about it, but it's not actually the it's not like the socket on the motherboard is bending. It's not like the actual card itself is bending, dude.
No.
You need to stay off the internal dust filters. Okay, I'm not having fluffy mow in the internal dust filters.
Where'd you pee? I can smell it. Little puppy. Oh, watch out. Smell that she peed somewhere. I don't know.
Oh.
Oh, I see it right in front of my desk.
Bloody dog. So in this case here, with this build, it's pretty much going to be supported by that cable there on one end. And it's the bracket here, this bit of aluminium at the back there, that's the bit that bends. So if your card is sagging, just take it out, bend that bit of metal back into shape at the back there, put it back in, it won't be sagging anymore. So, alrighty, that is one assembled Lian Li Dynamic 11. So, let's see if it actually works. Because it's one thing to put it together, it's another thing for it to actually work and do computer related things. That's looking alive. That looks like a post. Very good. Bit of bleach and I'll be fine. Can we get a BIOS? Yeah, we'll put on a new BIOS because we've got the original F1 version. Both of our SSDs are showing up. Oh, really? So we might already have one. Download a new one. Just in, it's relatively new, so there might be a new one. F7A. There you go. You want to sit on the top there? Sit up there now. Thank you.
I don't want to, but see it on the face cam.
What's up? Yeah.
It's looking good.
magnetic stuck his tail down.
Pull it up a little bit. Turn it towards facing. Yeah, there you go.
Fluffy cat. Yeah, see, there's the other motherboard there. We had an updated version there, so it wasn't for nothing.
Oh, that's good.
You had F6A and it was F7B. All right. Didn't it verify the file before? Swear I got some deja vu going on right now. I feel like I've already sat through this. Yeah, like that.
Shit.
Did you knock the box over? Were you a naughty puppy dog? Naughty fucking dog. So this BIOS update was only from a few days ago. So hopefully it's alright. If not, we have the previous version on there to roll back to. Yeah.
That thing's a monster.
Oh, it's beautiful. I really like it. I like the new fans. Actually, they look pretty sleek. But yeah, a D11 build always looks nice. You just got to do everything to minimize, I should say, the cables that you see on the front side. They give you all that room at the back so that all of your cables can be at the back and you don't see basically anything plugged in around front. Because I'll get Christine to take some photos of this later and they'll be uploaded to Facebook. But yeah, it's very, very clean inside. Sometimes I'll get someone who goes and buys a Lian PC in parts and they go to put it together and then they realise that they shouldn't have done it and that it was a little bit harder to put it together than what they thought. And then they end up bringing it to me, and unfortunately it's basically all got to get like pulled apart and done again from the start. But the thing is, when you buy a PC like this, the last thing you want to be doing is looking at a cable sticking out. It might not bother you at first when you just want to get it together and start gaming, but it will bother you a month later. Trust me. Naughty puppy dog, what are you doing? Where are you going?
She can't go in the bedroom.
Do you need to go outside?
So she just wanted to pee on the floor, so no.
Okay. Okay, so we'll enable our XMP profile. Oh, it's actually CL34, not CL36. So it's even better. CL is the CAS latency. So you've got speed and latency. So speed, you want faster, bigger number is better. Latency, bigger number is worse, smaller number is better. So there's two main things that you look for with the RAM, the speed and the latency. And you want one to be small and one to be large. Yeah.
How much for this kind of build?
This is around the $5,000 mark. Send me a message because I don't have any set configurations, so we can make whatever changes we have to work in with your budget or whatever. Yeah. Anyone eaten camel before? Yeah. Camel's a thing. Okay. Well, that's a bit of a letdown, isn't it? Was it a vacuum chamber?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll leave that off for now. Gross. Alrighty. Yo, I certainly do. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so this is set up as a gaming PC, so we'll put on our standard gaming apps for Battle.net, Steam, EA, and Epic Games. Put on Google Chrome, it's the world's chosen internet browser. And I'm sorry if it's not your chosen internet browser. Just I've seen the stats, and yeah, I'm just going by the numbers. So if it's not your favorite, I'm sorry. Alrighty, so we are pretty much all set up here. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. Okay. So it's all coming along now. Fluffy Meow. What the fuck are you doing? Hmm.
Wrong.
We might have to play around with this connector.
Does it stick out too far?
Yep.
Oh, I see.
Hmm. Yeah, I might have to change the way that's routed. Just sticks out a little bit too far there. That's alright, we'll have a look at that. Cool, cool. It's all looking good. So we'll set up our second SSD. All looking good. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and one final restart on it. It's getting like that time of night, isn't it? Okay. So let's run some gaming benchmarks. We'll run Heaven here on high, no anti-aliasing. Oh. Might help if we could actually see the stats. Okay, so that number there below RAM is how many frames per second it's running. So up the top here we've got our graphics card, temperature, usage, clock speed, wattage. Down here the VRAM, usage and clock speed. CPU temperature and usage, clock speed and wattage, and our RAM usage. What's that?
Oh, someone's telling you. Join Discord.
Oh. Alrighty, so now we'll run a more demanding benchmark here, which is Valley on Ultra Max Anti-Aliasing. So even if we ran this on the same settings, this would be a more demanding benchmark with a lower frame rate. Look at that massive clock speed on the Ryzen 7000 CPUs. 5.4 gigahertz. Yeah, it's 5.4 gigahertz or 5,400 megahertz. Yeah, they got it's like that. It's like they're all overclocked, basically, compared to what it used to be like. And people are like, "Oh, is it running too hot?" And it's like, no. That's how it's designed to run. With the cooler that it's got, the top's temperature, the temperature that's problematic is 95 degrees. So when it's sitting there in the high 70s, low 80s, that's actually exactly as it's meant to be running. And so you'll notice the usage is right down there, and then the clock speed's right up. And so what'll happen is if we started using the CPU more intensively, the clock speed would go down. That's kind of how it works. The engineers have it all tuned. Well, they're meant to have it all tuned. Alrighty, so that was Valley there on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. And then finally we do our 4K benchmark. So the other two are 1080, just because they run at the system resolution, and my capture card's 1080, so I can't really do anything about that. Superposition runs at like its own resolution, so we can run it at 4K here. And so as you can see there with 4K, we can see that the CPU's being used even less now. So the temperature's dropped off a bit and the usage has dropped off a bit. The clock speed, seems to be peaking a little bit higher as well. So like I said, they've got these chips tuned very, very specifically for the workload that they're going to be using, that they're going to be working on, I should say. I love all the old retro tech in this benchmark. The old meters and stuff like that, little CRT sine wave freaking thing. So if you're wondering what this is meant to be showing you, so look, I'm not a scientist, okay? I don't claim to be a scientist. However, I do claim to be a science enthusiast, and I do really like science. And from what I see around here, this is meant to be some sort of anti-gravity machine. What's sort of being depicted here is meant to be something that can isolate the missing particle associated with gravity, because like every other force of nature has its own like quantized particle, but we don't have it for gravity. So we can't really control gravity the same way that we can control like electromagnetism and the strong and weak nuclear force. If we could isolate the graviton, the particle, the quantized particle associated with gravity, then we should be able to do all this stuff like make things levitate in the room. So I'm pretty sure this is what it's meant to be kind of depicting. You can see on the wall there's like pictures of like stars and all that, and obviously stars produce a lot of gravity, and that's why there's like shit flying all around the room and stuff. Just FYI, if you were kind of sitting there going, the fuck is this benchmark even meant to be showing? Alrighty, so we are now at the end of the night. And this is where we do our stress test. Okay, so basically we just log our temperatures in hardware monitor here. As discussed, our CPU can get up to 95 degrees, and our graphics card, the GPU, can get up to 83 degrees. Memory and hotspot can get over 100 degrees, but they should never get up that high. If they start getting up there, you probably have something going slightly wrong with it. Alrighty, well, that is pretty much it. Look at this. The onboard graphics that's on the CPU die, it's got like corrupted information coming up here. PCI/ven/1002 and dev_164e and subsys underscore D0001 458 and Rev underscore C2. Anyway, we'll stick to our RTX 4080. How's that?
Sounds better.
That sounds better. Okay, well, I think that's where we'll probably leave it for tonight. I've got to have a bit of a play around that cable though. But I don't know, maybe... I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to ship it with that cable sticking out too much on the glass. It sounds like a bad time waiting to happen.
Can we maybe file it down a little bit? The plastic, so it doesn't stick out so much.
Yeah, there's definitely something we can do. It's just annoying when Lian Li do this. You know, they release the... What? I can't see anything in it from there. Alrighty. Well, I think that's where we'll leave it. So, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.